Praise the Lord.
Have you ever heard of the Bible? I am sure you have. Since you clicked on this video, you are now probably asking the same question I was a week ago. How strong is David? But first, we need to answer the question, why was David so important? You probably know that he killed Goliath. But David was also the second king of the United Kingdom of ancient Israel and Judah. He founded the Judean dynasty and united all the tribes of Israel under one monarch. David is not only in Christianity, he is also found in Judaism and Islam. Before we go further into this, we need to take a look at where it all started. Around the year 1000 BC, a man named Jesse was watching his youngest son being born, a son he would name David. In David's early life, he served as a shepherd working for his father before beginning his career as an aide in the court of Saul, the first king of Israel. While David was working as an aide, Israel came into conflict with their neighbors, the Philistines. David's older brothers would fight in this war under King Saul. While David's older brothers were fighting in the war, David would often travel back and forth to the camp to bring them food and supplies. During this time, there was a 6 cubits and a span tall Philistine giant named Goliath that wore a coat of scale armor of bronze, weighing 5,000 shekels. Goliath would challenge Saul for 40 days to send out a man to fight him. Not a single man would stand up to the challenge until a young David armed with only a sling and stones rose to the challenge. David slung the stone into the giant's forehead and killed him. David would later go on to distinguish himself even more as a warrior in the later battles against the Philistines. This resulted in King Saul becoming jealous and feared of David. King Saul was afraid that the people would make David king. Another main component of Saul's fear is a godly fear, because he knew that the Lord was with David, but not himself anymore. Anyways, all of this led to King Saul attempting to kill David, but David escaped with the help of his friend Jonathan, Saul's eldest son. David fled into southern Judah and Philistia, where he began to lay the foundation of his kingship. After the death of Saul, David began to secure his kingship. While he was proclaimed king of Judah in Hebron, he was not in Ishbosheth, where Saul's eldest son reigned in northern Israel. After the death of Ishbosheth's general Abner, Ishbosheth's position became insecure. Because of this, Ishbosheth was eventually beheaded by his own court, who in turn David killed for killing the last ruler of the house of Saul. David made a covenant with the elders of northern Israel and was then anointed as the second king of Israel. After this, David conquered the Canaanite stronghold of Jerusalem, which he made the capital of the new United Kingdom. After conquering Jerusalem, David defeated the Philistines. David beat the Philistines so thoroughly that they were never again a serious threat to Israel. He then went on to form an empire by conquering many small kingdoms bordering Israel, such as Edom, Moab, and Ammon. David's empire stretched from Egypt in the south to Lebanon in the north, and from the Mediterranean Sea in the west to the Arabian Desert in the east. Another great act David did was bring the sacred Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem. Although David was unable to build a temple, the Ark in Jerusalem meant the city became both the political and the religious center of Israel. Now, David wasn't a saint either. Well, I guess he actually was a saint, but what I mean is he was not a perfect man and had many flaws, especially adultery. While David was an accomplished warrior and empire builder, it was intertwined with interconnected family dissensions and political revolts. To tie together the various vassals and groups in his kingdom, David would take wives from them and create a harem for himself. Another example of this is when David showed his weakness for the beauty of Bathsheba, the wife of Uriah, a general of David. After David sent Uriah to the front lines in a battle against the Ammonites to ensure his death, David then married Bathsheba, who had become pregnant by the king. When the prophet Nathan came to David and told him about how it was unjust what happened to Uriah, David responded with anger and demanded for justice, whereupon Nathan responded with, "You are the man," and that God would exact retribution by not allowing the child to live. After this, David repented and God gave him a second child named Solomon, who becomes the future king of Israel. To answer the question, how powerful was David, we have to account the strength of his faith, mind, and body. David's power was not solely based on physical or political prowess. It also stemmed from his deep spirituality and capacity for repentance. Despite his flaws and sins, such as his affair with Bathsheba and the murder of her husband, Uriah, David's ability to acknowledge his wrongdoing and seek forgiveness from God exemplified his spiritual strength. David's life was fraught with challenges and adversaries, yet his courage and fearlessness set him apart. Most notably, his legendary battle with Goliath, a giant Philistine warrior, exemplifies his bravery. After defeating Goliath, David's journey did not become easier. He faced numerous challenges and trials, but his resilience allowed him to overcome them. His ability to bounce back showcased yet another facet of his strength. Let me know your favorite biblical-based stories in the comments below. I also want to note that this is only a fraction of what's known about David, and the Bible goes into so much detail, so I encourage reading his story for yourself. Well, that's it, guys. Don't forget to like or subscribe, and thanks for watching.